Let's keep in mind that the whole job of the algorithms is to show you the content that you want to see. And so if I am a Facebook consumer that likes to read, I'm going to see more written content. Your written content has a better chance of reaching that specific individual.
You're not just climbing trees, you're climbing destiny.
What is going on, and welcome back to the Branching Out podcast. And on this podcast, we help tree businesses grow and hit their revenue goals by talking about marketing and general business growth topics. I'm Justin Rademacher, your host. And on this episode today, it's going to be a bit different than our normal episodes because generally speaking, it's more of a talking head. Sometimes I'll have a guest on and we'll talk about what's happening in the tree service industry. So we're approaching the slow season, and I want to make sure that any savvy tree company that maybe doesn't have budget for a marketing agency to run their campaigns through the winter months will have at least some sort of a leg up and some fighting chance of staying afloat and staying busy. So we're going to talk about organic social media content. More specifically, it's going to be a how-to, like how to schedule out posts on social media, specifically Facebook and Instagram. So that way you can at least be flooding the market with some of your organic content and starting to get traction. Now, pretty pumped. I have just finished the manuscript, we'll call it, of the book. It's going to be called More Trees, More Calls, More Cash, which is basically just the blueprint to running digital marketing for a tree service business. That's going to be coming out sooner rather than later. Just needs to go through the editing process, but I'm pumped. And one of the chapters in there was talking about organic social media, and we really built our business off of organic social media. That's how we got our start, because let's face it, like when you're starting out a business, you either have one of two assets. You either have money or you have time. And most people think I have to have money to start a business. I have to have some and in some cases, that's not incorrect. There is some level of financial input that you have to put into the business to get it off the ground. If you have to buy equipment or at least have the money to rent the equipment, right? But when it comes to advertising and marketing, it can get really expensive really quickly. And so one of the ways that if you're a new business owner or you haven't really crossed that threshold to where you can afford to spend money on marketing, one of the best ways that you can get your name out there is by organic social media. I talk to way too many companies that get wrapped up in trying to figure out what is the latest trend on SEO and how do I get to the top of Google. Like you have to play your position. And if you're a brand new business, to be honest with you, you don't deserve to be at the top of Google. When I go to Google and I'm searching for something, I don't want some brand new business showing up at the top if I'm looking for the most trusted provider in my area. That's the whole logic behind Google. We all have this fascination with getting to the top of Google. I would say your job is to become the type of business that is at the top of Google. And in order to do that, we have to get some customers and get some reps in. Now, going back to the topic of you either have money or time. If you're sitting on this podcast right now and you're thinking, okay, well, I don't have, $3,000 a month to run on marketing specifically, then you have more time than money. That's just facts in real life. And so what we're going to talk about today is how to plan out your Facebook post using the built-in. Everything that we're going to talk about is free. And I'm going to tell you how to use AI and how to use Meta Business Suite to post organic social media content. And you can sit down for an hour or two and craft out an entire month's worth of content if you want to. And what's going to happen, what should happen, is if you're doing these things regularly, right, and you start running this for a few months at a time, you're going to start to get good at organic social media, or at least you're going to start to get better. Social media is not what it used to be. It used to be very similar to email marketing, where you would get a list of customers and you would blast out that list, and a percentage of the people would see your message and a percentage of the people would open and a percentage of people would click. And that was basically how social media worked, was you would amass these followers and you would post content out there and you would ask for the sale. You would brag about your business, show your before and afters, put your phone number up there, and a percentage of the people that followed you would engage with your content. That is not the way that it works anymore. The TikTokification of social media, meaning that when TikTok came out, they basically redid the algorithm and it became interest-based media. And I'm parroting a lot of what you'll hear people like Gary Vaynerchuk saying, which is every individual piece of content sort of stands on its own merit. So you'll hear people talk about I'm stuck in the 200, 300 view jail. I'm being shadow banned is the cool term that people like to use. And I think I have a suspicion that it just means that your content sucks. So more on that later. But the only way that you get good at any task, at anything, is to do it, is to practice it. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about a very simple, time efficient way, because I don't want you spending hours and hours and hours and hours and hours crafting out these Facebook posts. We're going to set the groundwork. We're going to set the foundation. So that way it's almost like a machine that runs in the background for you. And then all you have to do is follow up on comments, and then occasionally post some organic content whenever you feel like it. Asterisk here, we're not going to talk about boosting posts. We're not going to do boosting posts. I want you to pinky promise to me, whichever camera you're looking at right now, I want you to pinky promise that you're not going to boost post. If you're going to spend money on ads, then we need to do it proper. And that's a whole other learning that we have to have. And maybe one day I'll make a video on that. So like I said, this episode is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see exactly what I'm doing and how I'm clicking. And we're going to go ahead and jump right into that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start out on ChatGPT. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, I prefer to use Grok or Gemini. Cool. I'm not married to the platform. All that we're trying to do is get an AI base that we can leverage to help us with idea creation. People see these, videos online and they see the things that you can do with AI. I'll tell you the most powerful thing for me that AI helps me with is idea creation, right? And so what I will do is I will truly just have a conversation with ChatGPT. And over time, the reason I use ChatGPT as my primary is because it just knows me the most. It's the one that I've put the most reps into. It can mimic my brand voice more accurately than any of the others because it has more material to work with, right? ChatGPT has helped me edit the crap out of that book that I'm writing. And so it knows what's important to me. It's really tapped into my thought processes, the way that I like to structure sentences, all those things that we don't really think about are what's going to be important with your AI. And more importantly, it's going to be what's important when you're posting content onto social media. So for the purposes of this, all we're trying to get out of ChatGPT is some ideas for what to post, because too often, way too often, I will stumble across a Facebook post or a page of a business and I'll scroll down and they'll have one like on some post that says, call me for all your tree work needs. That is not going to work, right? I didn't get on social media to be sold to. And if Facebook wanted to show that post, then they would probably want you to spend ad dollars to get it out there. So they're not going to, that's not going to win the algorithm. Your goal with organic social media posts is to understand your audience and to speak to that audience and to provide value to that audience. Point blank, period, full stop. Like, your job on here is to provide value to your audience. So if you're a tree service owner and you're thinking, okay, who is my audience? It's not enough to just say people that own homes. We have to be very specific, right? And this is like getting into the customer avatar and some more traditional marketing stuff, but you can even use ChatGPT and say, I am a tree service in Daytona Beach and I want to understand my customer avatar. You can call this buyer persona, you can call it whatever you want to, but look, it even said that. Let's spit out your customer avatar, also called buyer persona. And it's going to help you to determine who your customer avatar is. And you'll notice that on the left-hand side, we now have this chat that we can always come back to and reference. So you can truly build out this conversation here. So we'll say, okay, homeowners 35 to 70, gender fairly balanced, income 60 to 150K, home ownership with mature trees on their property, and location will be residential neighborhoods like Ormond Beach, Port Orange, South Daytona, and Palm Coast. So this already is helping me to tighten up my messaging. Now I don't have to say, hey, Volusia County, which is the county that Daytona and all these cities are in. Hey, do you need tree work in Volusia County? That's a very broad message, right? We're talking about advertising here. But if I can speak to, okay, what are the interests of the people that are in this age group of 35 to 70? And what are the interests of 35-year-old males? And can I incorporate my content to 35-year-old males that live in Port Orange? If you can get that hyper focused with your content, it will have so much better reach. And so you might say to yourself, okay, let's pretend that this is the buyer persona. We don't want to work with property managers and realtors, even though you should. We don't want to work with businesses and HOAs, even though you should. But then it goes into, it'll even give you things like the mindset and motivation. Why are your customers calling you? What problems are you actually solving? And we think to ourselves, they want a tree removed or they want a tree cut. But why, right? Because that's going to be the goal of your social media content. They have overgrown or unsafe trees. And this is not the end all be all, right? Again, this is idea creation and it's AI, so it's not perfect. I can come in here and I can say, well, this is dumb. I don't want to improve my curb appeal. And I talk to ChatGPT just like that. I talk to it like it's my least paid assistant. And I will truly say that's not true. I don't want that. And all I'm doing is coaching the machine, is I'm coaching the algorithm, the AI algorithm, to understand my customer better. Specifically to me, it's not changing everything for the rest of the world, right? But it's just specifically for how I want to run my business. I say, please, just in case the Terminators come for me, they'll know that I was nice to them. Please give me 5 Facebook posts to post from, I'll even be more specific, Justin's tree care, directed at my buyer persona that would be value and education based, not salesy. And it gives me a little pat on the back saying that I'm thinking the right way. That's perfect. And here we go. It's already spitting out some things. So hurricane prep starts with your trees. Living in Daytona Beach, we all know how fast hurricane season sneaks up. One of the best ways to protect your home before a storm hits, inspect your trees. Look for cracks and large limbs. Notice that it's not saying, call me, right? That's the big differentiator here. It's saying, hey, this is what you need to go out and do, right? Not have us come out and do because we want a shot at the business. This will generate business over time because you're building trust in the community, right? If you can reach 300 people with this post and they actually read it and they say, that's a good thought. You just provided a little nugget of value. And our goal with social media, organic social media, is to continuously provide value. There's a book called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And the premise of that book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, is to just provide value, provide value, provide value, and then ask for the business. I would almost venture to say that in this day and age, you're better off just providing value and letting the business come to you naturally. That was written several years ago. So, boom, we've got post 1. Now, a couple of things is that we do live in the age of AI. And one of the things that we have to combat is people are getting tired of AI. People are getting better at understanding what is AI and what is not AI. Some of the key giveaways for AI is this it's called an EM dash, this long dash, and also the overuse of emojis. So what I like to do in all of my content is I always respond, and I've tried putting this in the prompt. It never seems to work. So this is what I do. You might find something that's better, but I would just say no EM dashes and reduce emoji usage by 50%. This will feel more natural. It's also going to give you some hashtags kind of by default, and you can change those up. You could even tell it to look for trending hashtags if you wanted to. But for the purposes of today, we're not going to get too into the weeds on how to create the post or how to craft it, but more so the practical application of what you do with it. So now that you have these 5 posts, there are far more complicated ways to do this where you can export it into a CSV and upload it. We're not going to go through all that. We're going to keep it simple today. So I'm going to now go over to business.facebook.com and I'm going to log in with my Facebook. And that's, here we go. Now, I'm not signing into a business Facebook or anything. I'm signing into my regular Facebook account that has access to my business manager account. Now we're going to pretend that this Facebook page is actually Justin's Tree Care, because that's the one that we're pretending to do. And what I want to do is on the left-hand side, I want to go to Planner. I'll take a drink of my drink here. Anybody else a full-grown adult that still drinks energy drinks? I am not sponsored by Bang yet, but I should be. All right, and so what you're going to see here is a calendar. This is basically the day of the week. You can post ahead of time, essentially, is what we're going to do here, because I don't want to have to do this during the week when I'm out in the field. Maybe this is a Friday evening or a Saturday activity that you would do is to go ahead and take some time and craft out these posts. So I'll go ahead and say it's telling me that, hey, 7 p.m. this week, my Facebook followers are most active. All right, well, that sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and create a post. Now, I could create a post, a story, a reel. I could set up a time to go live. I could create an ad. We're not going to worry about all of that. We're just going to create a post today. But going back to the topic of once you continue to do this more frequently, you'll start to understand that maybe a story gets more exposure and gets more reach than a Facebook post in itself does. There's also different variations of posts. I can do a text only post like we're about to do together. I can do an image. I can do a video. And not only will those get different levels of reach, but they will also hit different types of people. And that's what's most important. Let's keep in mind that the whole job of the algorithms is to show you the content that you want to see. And so if I am a Facebook consumer that likes to read, I'm going to see more written content. Your written content has a better chance of reaching that specific individual. If I'm a Facebook consumer that likes to watch videos, then your video content has more likely of a chance of breaking through and hitting me, right? So we're constantly experimenting and trying different ways of getting the message out there. So we're going to go ahead and create post. Now it's going to bring us to a little post creation. We're going to go back to ChatGPT and we're going to copy post one and we're going to drop that text in there. And now we can see very simple, very easy. On the right-hand side, it's giving us a preview of what that post is going to be. You're going to ignore this little boost button. We're not going to hit that because we don't want to pay for extra reach, right? We don't want Facebook choosing who we're going to send this to. We're going to do this organically and then figure out what worked and what didn't. We're going to say scheduling options. We're going to schedule it for active times. It'll give you some suggestions. We'll say, let's do it today at 7 p.m. And you can even share it to your story. Now, for text only posts, I don't normally like to do this, but you can. I would prefer to do this with a video or an image. It just seems to get better results. And then privacy settings, obviously make sure that it is set to public. And you'll go ahead and click on schedule. Now, I don't actually want this to post to my marketing agency's business, so I'm not going to schedule it, but I'll go ahead and click on finish later so it saves it as a draft. And boom, if you had clicked schedule at 7 p.m., that is going to run. And now you can move on to the next day. Now notice that it's also telling you, oh, this is Columbus Day and World's Health Day. It's giving you ideas for what you can make a post about. We're going to go ahead and go into next week. And I'm going to say, okay, this is Indigenous People Day. I can make a post about Happy Indigenous People Day, Happy National Dessert Day. It's just giving you some ideas on some generic content that you can post. But we're going to go ahead and say, okay, I want to post again on Monday. And we'll double check. We're going to say Monday at, let's do noon, see if we can catch the people at lunch. And again, we're experimenting and we're trying new things. We're trying to see what works and what doesn't. So we're going to post this one Monday at noon. And for this post, we're going to go back to ChatGPT. We're going to take post number 2 because we already posted post number 1. And we're going to go ahead and drop the text in there. But now for this one, I want to actually add a photo, right? And I could add one from my desktop. I could add one from my media library, or I could even add a video. Now, this is going to take a little bit of time, but you could ask ChatGPT to give me an image for post 2. And it takes a little while for ChatGPT to make a picture. It's going to first tell me what it wants to do. It's writing its own prompt essentially. And I'm going to go ahead and say, make this for me. In an ideal situation, you would be using actual photos that you've taken on the job. But if it's something that you don't have a photo of, you could always ask ChatGPT to make you an image. It's going to be pretty obvious to most people that it is AI. We are getting into some really exciting things with VO3, as well as with Sora, which is the open AI video creation tool where you'll be able to create hyper realistic videos that I've already posted some to my personal Facebook page that people cannot tell is fake. I posted one of me doing a TED talk, right? Like I was on stage in a TED talk talking about marketing, and I had several messages and comments from people that believed that that was real. It's wild. We are almost there. As you can see, this is taking a significant amount of time. I, as a business owner, don't want to be sitting around waiting for all of these images to populate, because at the end of the day, what's going to happen is I might not even be happy with this image once it's done populating. And then I have to redo it, tell it to fix the prompt. It's not the most time efficient thing in the world, just to be, candid with you. So look at this. It's already messing up. Is your tree showing this signs, right? So I would probably stop this and I would say, because I don't want to render the entire thing, I'm just going to go ahead and say no text, right? I would coach it because I don't really need the text on the image for the purposes of this video, because I don't want to take up everybody's time. I'll just say that I would have went in here and said remove the text from the image, and I'll go ahead and pretend that this is the final image that works. So we'll go ahead and save image as. We'll call it demo so I can find it. And we will pull it out of my downloads here and drop it. Oh, that didn't work. We're going to go ahead and upload from desktop. There we go. All right, so now I have that post, and we'll click on schedule, and that one's going to be scheduled. Again, I'm going to click on finish later because I don't want to actually post this. So now I've got 2 posts going out, and we're about, call it 15 minutes in. One of them has a picture on it. I would do the same exact thing for post 3 and 4. So I would say, okay, let's go ahead and post on Wednesday. Let's try to get the homeowners that are home at evening time. So we'll say 6 p.m. when they get home. Now, just because you post it at this time doesn't mean that it stops circulating at this time. If you have a good piece of content, it's going to continue to circulate around the internet. And that's all we're trying to do, is build a base of content that is nothing but value out there, so that when Facebook decides, or Instagram or Meta, whatever, decides that this would be a good piece of content to show to somebody, you have the data and you have the content already existing. So we're going to go ahead and say on October 15th at 6 p.m., we'll go ahead and add this third post. For this one, we'll just go ahead and use the third post up here. Over trimming your trees is bad. Don't do that, because they could die. And you can always come in here and like clean this up a little bit if you want. Feel free to play with, play with the topics, play with the use of emojis. The more experimentation that you can do in here, the better, because you might uncover something that works very well and that people actually want to read. You can play with your brand voice. You can say, write this, write these posts more like Einstein would, and it will rewrite them in your brand voice or create a new brand voice. And so the idea, all I'm trying to convey here, is that what it spits out is not the end all be all, right? Like, we can really craft and customize our own message that is more relevant to the way that we would naturally speak. So nature always prepares for the storm, and so should we. If you want that to sort of be your brand voice, and the way that you approach your community is this thoughtful, curious tree company, then by all means, start writing more posts in this brand voice, and you will come across that way. If you want to be the arrogant, wise guy, you can put that in there, and it will craft the messages with that undertone. But try to be consistent, but also experiment a little bit at the same time. And that's sort of contradictory. But the idea here is that we're just playing. We're playing, and we're trying to figure out what will actually work. So hopefully that gives you enough to where you can go ahead and get started posting to the Meta Business Suite. Now, if you don't have a Facebook page for your business, I want to remind everybody of one thing, and I'll stop sharing. I want to remind everybody of one thing when it comes to social media, because a lot of people are like, Facebook, I've tried it, it doesn't work. It's free. Facebook, literally, to put what I just did, cost me nothing. Now, I do have a paid version of ChatGPT, but you can accomplish the basics of what I just showed you on the free version of ChatGPT. It doesn't require the paid membership. But posting to access to Meta Business Portfolio is free. Creating a Facebook page for your business is free. It's not a person page. You actually have to create a Facebook page, like a business page. That's free. All of that is free. So if you only get 200 people, I only got 200 people that saw my post. That's 200 people that you got to get in front of for free. We have no problem throwing money on direct mail, knowing that only 1 out of 100, if that 1 out of 1,000, is going to actually call us. We have no problems with that. But for some reason, we get emotional when we're talking about posting on social media organic and thinking that 200 views is not that big of a deal. If you were able to send out 200 mailers for free, I'm sure that you would do it at least for the brand recognition. And so this is essentially the same thing, except the only difference is that what you're doing here is you're building a following and you're helping your brand grow, as opposed to direct mail where you're just doing hand-to-hand combat, which is, it's a conversion mechanism. You're not providing value in your direct mail pieces. You're sending a piece of mail to somebody like myself that doesn't want to see it, that's getting already gets a ton of junk mail as it is, and now I've got your offer to trim my trees with some special offer, scan your QR code here, call my number. Like, no, I'm not thinking about that. I don't want that. Let's leverage the algorithms to show the content to the people that they need to be shown to. So this episode was a little bit longer than I had originally intended it, but I wanted to make sure that it was super tactical. Hopefully this was helpful. As always, if you have any questions, if you want to book a strategy session with us and we can give you a more specific hand to hand, we'll sit down and look at your business and give you what we think you should be doing to help grow it. You can go to arboristmarketingpros.com/schedule and we'll book a time. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next one. Chat soon.